Alright, well, not more than 45 seconds ago, I just finished filming my Lost Ark video for the day, which was about the pre-release version of the game that is out now. I was going to take a day off Destiny because I figured I was going to do the TWAB tomorrow, and Lost Ark is a big game. And then Bungie just dropped a giant Void 3.0 piece. I figured that was going to be a TWAB, but it is not. I guess there's too much else to talk about in the TWAB still. So we are getting a closer look at Void 3.0. We got a couple more glimpses of that in the VIDOC yesterday. I kind of wrote down all the little fragments and aspects I could find there, which built on what we had already seen from it. I've scrolled down through this whole thing. It's very long, and there's videos, and I'm going to kind of live react and watch the videos here live on screen, and we will see what to make of this. I am very excited for Void 3.0. I think I'm more excited for crafting, but Void 3.0 does seem like it's going to be very cool, as do all the 3.0 reworks. So let's dive into this and see what we got. With the Witch Queen expansion for Destiny 2, Guardians will face unparalleled threats, from exploring the seat of Savathun's power, her mysterious and nefarious throne world, to facing the Lucent Brood, hive enemies capable of wielding the light. Players will be tested in ways they've never been challenged before. It's a good thing, then, that Guardians come prepared. In addition to a new power cap and host of new weapons and armor to use in the fight against enemies of humanity, Guardians will be imbued with brand new capabilities thanks to some significant changes coming to the Void elemental power, coinciding with the Witch Queen expansion. The Void update, what we call Void 3.0, is the first overhaul of Destiny 2's elemental powers to come in Year 5. Look for Arc and Solar changes in the future. They did say that both Arc and Solar will be this year. We are also assuming we may get a new subclass in Lightfall, but that is a question for another day. Void abilities haven't really been developed since 2017, and they are a reaction to the sandbox that was in Destiny 1, said Destiny designer Kevin Yanes. With Void 3.0 and the other elemental changes to come, the team had a set of goals they wanted to attain to bring these classic elemental powers in line with the challenge level and balance of today's sandbox, as well as to strengthen the overall fantasy that is at the heart of each element's playstyle. We are trying to codify the damage type so that each element has its own world of gameplay that it's dominant over, Yanes said. That should be apostrophe S. For example, stasis is dominant and is the domain of ground control. What we looked at with Void was about both thematically and mechanically. Void is about gravity, it's about space, it's about the cosmic. That means we want things to feel like you're shooting black holes that drag people in. There's a lot of personality we can draw from that creates cool mechanics. The first big Void 3.0 change is the introduction of aspects and fragments. First, introduced in Stasis and Beyond Light, aspects and fragments give players more options to choose from when it comes to the abilities they want to use in battle. As with Stasis, aspects are class-specific, selectable items that give players additional actions they can perform within their elemental subclass. Fragments are non-class-specific. You guys know what these are. Okay. When developing the new aspects for Void 3.0, the team worked hard to center them around new actions, verbs as the team refers to them, and define what Void should mean going forward for players. It wasn't just like a passive verb perk, it should feel like a new thing that you were adding to your toolkit, Yanes said. All of the actions feel like they have new performances to them and they are reinforcing that core fantasy. These verbs manifest themselves in the form of new actions for players to use in the heat of battle. New actions such as the Trapper's Ambush will find the hunter diving and slamming into the ground. Oh, there's Shadow Dive. Weakening enemies and causing nearby allies to become temporarily invisible. Oh, that's what that does. I think that was in the VIDOC because I saw a Warlock going invisible. Although I think everyone is going to be able to use invisibility, I believe. Titans will be able to grant barriers to allies, and Warlocks will be able to summon entities from beyond the Void to help turn the tide of battle. More on all these below. None of that was available before the Witch Queen, said Yanes. The old Void subclass Diamond system was rooted around a melee augment, a super augment, and then two passives. What we've done is essentially added two new sections. Yes, you still get your melee, yes, you get your super, but now you get two new things that either plus up your existing kit or give you something you didn't have before. I think they're talking about aspects. We've taken elements and abilities from the Diamonds and promoted them to full-size aspects, said Destiny designer Samuel Dunn. The Warlock's Chaos Accelerant ability is a good example, where the Warlock can charge their Void Grenades into more powerful versions and throw them. Well, that's something that's existed before. We believe that the performance and identity of that ability is strong and feels like a unique ability, enough to stand on its own as an aspect. With the 3.0 upgrades, we're trying to take the cool parts of what already exists and then add in new stuff where we feel like there are holes to be filled. Before we take a deeper look at each class's implementation of Void 3.0, let's align on some terminology. Void attacks apply one or more of 6 buffs, debuffs that confer a tactical advantage to a Guardian. So they've said these before, and they've listed these out. But yeah, I guess we'll just go through them as a refresher, considering we're about to explore all of them. Suppress, the target is taken out of any active ability when suppressed. While suppressed, the target cannot activate any abilities or movement modes. Combatants are disoriented. Weaken, the target takes increased damage, has slow movement, and is disoriented. Similar. Volatile, the target will explode in a void detonation upon taking additional damage. If the target dies before Volatile has taken enough damage to detonate, the detonation happens anyway. Invisibility, the player vanishes from sight and does not appear on radar. Overshield, the player gains a protective barrier that immediately stacks on top of their existing health and shields and intercepts incoming damage. Overshield reduces the damage taken from PvE combatants. PvE combatants, not PvP combatants. Interesting. The player is immediately devoured. The player is immediately restored to full health upon activating Devour from any source and is granted grenade energy. When the player gets any kill with Devour active, they are restored to full health, granted grenade energy, and their Devour buff timer is extended. So you can see how these are all pulled from the different, the different classes that already exist, but now you're going to be spreading these around a little bit more. Now let's take a class-by-class look at how Guardians will benefit from Void 3.0 changes in Destiny 2. Titan. A Void-enabled Titan is a stalwart shield of a fire team, whether serving up a Ward of Dawn, protective bubbles to withstand furious enemy assaults, or charging the battlefield, shield in hand, mowing down opponents, one shield toss at a time. Previously, the two supers, Ward of Dawn and Sentinel Shield, were tied to one another from a control standpoint, so the Titans had to use a similar input and sit through a chunk of the Sentinel Shield activation animation before the Ward bubble was created. Oh, alright, so here's a video. Okay, so now you just pop it, so you can see already here that the shield is like the full super. So there is no shield slinging element to this. Your Ward of Dawn is your entire super now, and it activates really fast. So there's no shield popping animation. It's just boom, down. That's cool. Okay. With Void 3.0, the two functions are separated, which means that Ward of Dawn is now nearly instantly activated. Can they do that with Barricade? That would be nice. In addition, the Ward of Dawn has been moved to the fastest super cooldown tier. They gotta look at those. Those are not in a good place, making it much more available to the Titan in need. This change means it's much better reactionary defensive tool, said Destiny designer Mike Humboldt. So as an example, if Hunter were to jump at you and cast Blade Barrage, Titan can now pretty reliably activate Ward of Dawn before any of the enemy supers land and survive as a result. That's pretty cool. Just as before, Sentinel Shield will allow Titans to traverse the battlefield, bashing foes with their Void Shield or tossing their shield as melee attacks. Thrown shields will damage opponents and apply Volatile. If Controlled Demolition is equipped, while Shield Bash kills will grant a full Overshield. So, let's see how this works. Oh wait, this is the new Offensive Bulwark ability that I think they're about to talk about. Is that a heavy scout we're seeing here? Okay, I'm not entirely sure. So he's got an Overshield from that grenade launcher. Get some new footage here. All right. Sorry, if there's audio that I can't hear the audio now. I'm just realizing. So if you can't hear my talking over those, I'll just try and shut up during them. There are 3 Titan aspects to choose from with Void 3.0. Controlled Demolition, hitting a target with a Void ability or Volatile detonation will make them volatile. Bastion, casting Barricade generates Overshield for yourself and nearby allies. Those bunkering behind the shield will regenerate Overshield over time and extend the Overshield's duration. Offensive Bulwark, well, you have an Overshield or inside a Ward of Dawn, grenades charge significantly faster, and you have increased melee damage. You also gain additional shield throw for your Sentinel Shield super. That's pretty good. Hunter. The Hunter prioritizes movement and stealth in the heat of battle. Whether it's enjoying a few moments of tactical recalibration in a tense encounter by briefly vanishing after dodging an attack or setting snares and traps to disorient and slow their opponents, a fight with a hunter is always a study in agility, surprise, and deadly precision. Alright, so now we have something called Vanishing Step. Okay, that looked kind of like a normal dodge invis to me. Okay, let's see what they say. In addition to the Spectral Blade Super, the Shadow Shot variants that hunters are accustomed to, Deadfall and Mobius Quiver will still be found in Void 3.0 updates, so there are some changes to be aware of. For example, Mobius Quiver will fire volleys of 3 arrows that will now track targets and make them volatile if they are tethered. Yeah, we heard about that. In addition, with Deadfall, the Void Anchors that are dropped after Shadow Shots will now pull enemies toward it when it impacts a surface or target. That's cool. Can you put that back on the Stasis Grenade that used to do that? The Hunter's Snare Bomb melee ability will now weaken opponents. No, that's it. In PvP, players caught in the Snare Bomb will have their HUD removed and an obscuring screen effect applied for a short period of time. Alright, so this is Mobius Quiver, Trapper's Ambush in a stylish executioner. Okay, invis on headshot. Invis on finisher. Okay, hunters will have 3 aspects to select from with Void 3.0. Trapper's Ambush. Players can activate Quick Fall to spend their melee charge and dive to the ground, creating a smoke cloud upon impact. Enemies caught in the cloud are weakened and allies become invisible. That seems very good. In addition, Snare Bombs upon attaching to surfaces or enemies cause nearby allies to become invisible. Okay, so that's combining a lot of things that we had before. Vanishing Step. Dodging makes a hunter invisible. Okay, so they turned that just into an aspect. So that really was just a hunter dodging, being invisible. Alright, Stylish Executioner. Defeating a Void debuff target, weakens Suppressor Volatile, grants invisibility, and True Sight. While invisible after a Stylish Execution, your next melee attack weakens enemies. Interesting. Oh man, it's going to be... I like the customization. It's going to be hard to choose. All of those are very good for very different reasons. But okay, so this is the hunter stuff that you're getting. Everyone was complaining that there wasn't any hunter stuff in the Vidoc. Clearly there was some hunter stuff coming, and a lot of it is kind of what they have now. It's just a way to, it's like boosted, and there's different ways to rearrange it past what we saw before. Warlock, I feel like we've seen the most about Warlock already, but the infinite mysteries of the universe are the playgrounds of Warlocks. While they aren't nose deep in an ancient text, Warlocks are floating across the battlefield, or falling to their deaths, healing allies and creating havoc among their foes. Void 3.0 fine-tunes these powers, and the Warlock's new aspects will, among other new abilities, summon a brand new type of support from the yawning void of space-time. The Nova Warp Super lets Warlocks quickly teleport from one spot to the next, and players can choose to let loose with a deadly void eruption. With the Vortex Super enhancement, a player's Nova Bomb will now draw enemies into the singularity it creates, damaging them once inside. Casting a Nova Bomb with the Cataclysm enhancement will cause it to travel across the battlefield and seek out enemies. Detonations will shatter into smaller seeker projectiles, and shooting the Nova Bomb will cause it to detonate early. Shooting the Nova Bomb, nice. The Warlock's melee Pocket Singularity fires an unstable ball of void energy that detonates when it nears enemies, pushing them away from the blast and making them volatile. Really hope that feels better than the Stasis projectile melee. According to Destiny designer Mike Humboldt, he expects this melee will find particular use in the Crucible. We do a lot of PvP testing, and knocking someone who's trying to shotgun rush you off the map with a Pocket Singularity is always a good time. Alright, let's see. This is Child of the Old Gods. This is the hovering black hole thing. That seems very good. I mean, we've seen that before, but like, that is a lot of utility. As for Titans and Hunters, Warlocks will have 3 aspects to wield. Chaos Accelerant, hold down the grenade button to overcharge your Vortex, Axion Bolt, Scatter, and Magnetic Grenades. Magnetic Grenades overcharge into handheld Supernova. Oh, nice. Feed the Void. Defeat an enemy with a Void ability to activate Devour. Oh, so you just so the Devour itself is just by itself its own aspect. So that's a lot of potential for builds there. Okay. Child of the Old Gods. Cast your Rift to summon a Void Soul. When you damage an enemy with your weapon, your Void Soul will launch itself toward them and detonate nearby, attaching draining tendrils, which deal damage and weaken the target. When your Void Soul deals damage, it restores either melee and grenade energy if running Healing Rift, or health if running Empowering Rift, back to you. Defeating an enemy who is being drained grants Rift energy. That's a lot of things. Designer Samuel Dunn calls the Child of the Old Gods aspect a passion project for him, and something the team worked on for quite a while to get right. I'm a Warlock main at heart, and I really love summoning little friends like Arc Soul and Bleak Watcher to do my bidding, so I wanted to make sure that Void Soul felt like a black hole with a little personality to it, too. This one seems to me like the one like wholly original thing they made. Like all of the other ones seem like kind of upgrades over the current things that exist now, whereas that is like very much its own new like I know there are other, there's Arc Buddy and stuff, but that seems like they kind of did this whole thing from scratch, which is cool. And all right, so now this is Chaos Accelerant. This is the thing that overcharges your grenade. I like painful. To complement the class-specific aspects, Void 3.0 will introduce a number of new fragments which offer new perks to build upon, as well as add bonuses or penalties to your Guardian's intrinsic stats. Here's a look at a few of the new fragments to come. Echo of Expulsion, Void ability kills cause enemies to explode, intellect bonus. Echo of Provision, damaging enemies with grenades grants melee energy, strength penalty. Echo of Domineering, after suppressing a target, gain greatly increased mobility for short duration, and your equipped weapon is reloaded from reserves. Oh wow, okay. Discipline bonus. Suppressing. That's interesting. I like that. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. Echo of Undermining, Void grenades weaken enemies, discipline penalty. Finally, at least we're going to be able to get like bonuses in for different fragments, which has been a huge advantage Stasis has had over the other ones for now, because you can just get 30, 40 free stats for doing nothing, depending on which of these you pick. I feel like there was a couple more of these that they showed in the Vidoc that I wrote down, but I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. Another significant change for Void 3.0 is that all subclasses will have access to all Void grenade types in the game. For example, as a hunter, you'll be able to run the suppressor or magnetic grenades instead of choosing just between Void Spike, Void Wall, or Vortex. In addition, some grenades will see upgrades. For example, the lingering field created by Vortex grenades will now suck enemies into it. That's good, because it was really freaking hard to hit people with that. Players who have played Destiny before the Witch Queen will have access to all Void 3.0 aspects and most fragments with the launch of the Witch Queen on February 22nd. Several fragments will be available after the World First raid completion. Huh. That's weird. Alright. New Destiny 2 players will earn their aspects and fragments as part of the New Light game experience. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, so you will be able to get all of this pretty much immediately, except for some fragments that are hidden behind World's First raid completion, which is... So I'm assuming that's going to trigger some sort of story thing that... Okay, well, we'll deal with that later, I guess. Across those ability tweaks, new powers, and buildcraft options, one theme is clear. The team behind Void 3.0 is focused on giving Guardians a chance to fulfill the fantasy of their chosen class by giving them ample opportunity to do what their class does best. As Dunn puts it, we built out multiple ways for the players to access and key off their core verbs. Love to key off my core verb. It's one of my favorite things to do. For example, Dunn said, the Titan has several ways to earn and extend its overshield in a fight. Use the Bastion aspect to create a barricade to grant overshield to you and your allies. The shield throw melee can grant overshield, as does the Void shoulder charge. With overshield, the Titan also gets increased grenade recharge and melee damage. As a result of these new buildcraft options, players can double, even triple dip into these verbs, like overshield for Titans or invisibility for hunters. As Dunn sums up, it means you can do things that your class is supposed to do all the time. Void 3.0 arrives to coincide with the launch of the Witch Queen on February 22nd, 2022. Okay, so that's like the full look, essentially, at Void 3.0. More total information. We have all the aspects now. Again, it does seem like most of the aspects are tied to things that we can already do. It's just you're going to have a ton more customization by how they're being implemented with the new verb list. And it does seem kind of like, okay, Titans are still going to have overshield mainly, hunters are still going to have invisibility mainly, warlocks still have devour mainly, but like there seems like there could be some sort of cross, contamination there. And then obviously, one thing that isn't mentioned here is the idea that void weapons should be able to kind of play and factor into things here. Like we have seen how, a stasis weapon with headstone can activate a bunch of aspects and fragments because of it does something. So we might start to see new void perks dropping on void weapons that interact with these. We've not gotten any word about like any crazy redesigns of exotic weapons. I don't know if does Graviton Lance technically have volatile, since that's sort of what it does. Like, will that count as a volatile activation? Like those are kind of questions I have that aren't answered here, but I guess we'll find out. Very excited for this. I think this is the right call, honestly. Like, I think everyone was somewhat disappointed that we weren't going to get a new subclass in Witch Queen, and yet I understand what it does for the health of the game to kind of go back and get all of these subclasses on the same level and under the same system with like heavy customization, and then kind of go back to making new ones, because you can see just Stasis's advantages isn't necessarily just in its crowd control. It's diversity, it's the bonus stats, it's the the build options you can make, and the current ones just don't have that. It's like, okay, I'm going this because I need this super to do damage, or like I need a well because I need a well, and like there's not that much build crafting within that. Like you pick well, you got those other things activated, those other perks, and that's all you can do. Like sorry. But now you can, well, this isn't well, this is void stuff, but you know what I mean? Like, you can kind of create your own sort of different roles and different playstyles through this. I think this sounds great. I am very much looking forward to this. Unless I'm reading that wrong, it does seem like we'll be able to kind of just access all of this right at launch, and there's not going to be some crazy grind to like get all the aspects on all 3 characters and things. So that's good, and that I think was a problem with Stasis. I think everyone hated doing that Stasis thing more than once, maybe even one time is too many times. So I very much am appreciative of this. I'm wondering if this is going to be in the lore somehow, like there's some sort of lore explanation as to why our void abilities changed, but they usually do stuff like that. But anyway, this was a surprise. Thank you for bearing with me here, and I'm probably going to upload this now, and then I'll do my Lost Ark video later. But yeah, very exciting. So we will see what tomorrow's TWAB brings. Maybe some Gambit news. Yeah, I've kind of lost track of what is left to even be announced at this point with all this stuff that's been breaking. But we got a pretty good look at crafting, good look at Void 3.0, whole weapons thing, the new weapon perks and things like that, and the origin whatever. So I don't know. Maybe it's a full-on Gambit TWAB tomorrow. I guess we'll see. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.